Yeah, hi everybody. Hello. I'm here today visiting my friend Gawain. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, I'm Gawain. Originally from the UK, now living in Far North Queensland, and I'm 56 years old.
It's wonderful to be here today with you, Gawain. Let me start by asking you, what was it that sparked you to become vegetarian in the first place?
Well, someone handed me an animal rights leaflet in 1989, and also I had a pet rabbit as well.
Yeah.
I love animals.
And the vegan thing, did it take you long to realize?
Well, I was vegetarian until 2005, and then I met some animal rights activists, and they explained to me why the dairy industry and the egg industry are not ethical, and I learned what was going on, and it persuaded me to go vegan.
So you became active in animal rights stuff as well at the time?
Yeah, that's right. I was going on demonstrations and marches and going to gatherings, mainly in London.
Were there many people that were vegan at the time that you knew of?
No, obviously the animal rights movement was virtually all vegan, but like outside of the animal rights movement, there was very few people who were vegan, it seems to me, at the time.
Yeah, it's grown so much, the vegan movement, over the past couple of decades.
Yeah, it's multiplied so much, especially in Britain. In Britain, it's absolutely huge.
And you switched to raw vegan diet when you were in England?
Yeah, I was in London.
What caused you to do that?
Well, I saw some videos by Michael Armstein, and at the time he was like an ultra marathon runner. He was the fifth fastest ultra marathon runner in America. And he tried a few different diets, and he was looking for a diet that could speed up his running and get in faster time. And he tried several different diets. And the one diet that had a massive effect on his running performance was a raw diet, fruit-based diet. And I saw some of the videos that he produced, and it influenced me to try the diet. So I thought I'll give it a go. And if it doesn't work, I'll go back to cook.
Did you consider yourself much of an athlete at that time?
No, not really. I just wanted to be healthy. I wouldn't say I was an athlete. I was just like, I do a bit of running to keep fit.
Yeah.
That's all it was. I wasn't competitive. I just like to keep a reasonable level of fit.
But I know that nowadays you do weightlifting every morning.
Yeah. I do weight training, like 6 days a week. Yeah.
Because a lot of people out there, they think, well, you can't even be vegan and lift weights, but you're a raw vegan.
And also I know there's a lot of other people that do it as well, and that are vegan, and even raw vegan fruitarian. You can lift a decent amount of weight.
Sure, it's all about training. I know that for myself, I consider myself quite weak, really, in comparison to a lot of people, because I don't train. But I know that some years ago, I was working on a farm and I started picking watermelons. And to begin with, it was like hard work. But after I'd been doing it for maybe a few weeks, I was picking 2 tons of watermelon in 4 hours and feeling really good for it. So my muscles soon built up when I started using them. But because I'm not really using them for much.
You look pretty healthy to me.
Yeah, I feel healthy enough. I just don't have much muscle, that's all. But yeah, you're good proof to show that you can build up muscle when you're on a raw diet. So when you transited to raw, was that easy for you? Or did you have some period of time where you were like constantly craving cooked food? Because I know for most people, it's very, very difficult to just go from one day to the next.
No, I found it relatively easy, really, I think, yeah.
But you never fell back eating cooked food?
No, never, no.
Yeah. Remarkably strong character.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because myself, I would be constantly tempted. I was surrounded by temptation all the time. I'm so used to eating a lot of stodgy foods, even though they were vegan. But you weren't.
Well, when I was eating cooked food, I think I was eating a fair bit of fruit and veg as well, but not as much as when I went fully raw.
So in that sense, when you smelt things, you weren't tempted by them?
No, not really. Obviously, there are smells of cooked food that smell very nice. Don't get me wrong, but I got such an energy boost from going raw. My energy doubled and I was thinking a lot clearer, and I didn't want to lose that. So even when you smell like some cooked food and it smells really nice, you just think to yourself, well, it's not really worth the sacrifice, in my opinion.
But there come a time when those smells stop becoming appealing. Because nowadays, if I smell something cooked, it just smells off or bad. It's only at the beginning where you feel like the smells are enticing you, they're pulling you in.
Some people say that they crave salt, and my answer to those people is, well, maybe you're not eating enough leafy greens or something, or, I know you're a fruitarian and you don't eat any leafy greens. But probably eat tomatoes, and tomatoes, like us, they're a fruit, and tomatoes, they're quite high in sodium, I think. So if you were craving sodium, you could go for the tomatoes.
Yeah, I do eat tomatoes every day. There may be some truth to that. Yeah, as viewers know, I don't really do the micronutrient side of things. So sodium for me, I don't really know what it is.
Oh, yeah, there's probably sodium in many fruit. It's not salt that we need in our bodies, it's sodium. There's tribes in the jungle that have never eaten salt in their whole life, and they're perfectly healthy. So you don't need salt, you need sodium.
So as far as all the transitions you've done from vegetarianism to veganism to raw food, I know that you've mentioned that you've had more energy and better clarity of mind, especially after going raw.
Yeah.
But were there any other major or not so major health issues that were healed?
Not really. The main thing really was like double energy and a clearer mind. And it's always been that for me, really.
You also do a lot of gardening yourself?
Do a fair bit of gardening, yeah. I enjoy that, yeah.
Planted trees?
Yeah, I planted quite a few fruit trees and grown quite a few from seed. And also grown a few leafy greens and stuff like that in raised garden beds. So yeah, I enjoy growing.
What have you planted?
I've put in a lot of jackfruit trees, brillinias, peanut butter, yellow sapote, black sapotes, white sapote, soursop. Yeah, I've put quite a few durian in.
Yeah, Gawain's quite privileged in the fact that the area he's in, the durian will grow. Unfortunately, where we are, it's too dry. But the wet has also disadvantages because there's more mold and more march flies and more mosquitoes.
Yeah, the durians grow quite well where we. Also, the brillinias and the jackfruits grow very quickly where we.
So, how long have you been in this part of the world now?
What, Australia? I've been in Australia 5.5 years.
5.5 years. Yeah. So, is that long enough to have actually planted those seeds and grown the tree and eat the fruit from it?
No, but I think by next year, some of them will be fruiting. There might be one or two peanut butter trees that are plant fruiting, but other than that, no, not really. But I think, yeah, some of the jackfruit trees will fruit next year.
Because that's one of the good things about this part of the world. We've got such a variety of fruit trees.
What about you? You do a lot of gardening yourself?
Yeah, well, you've seen our garden. It's I've probably got like 150 fruit trees I put in. Some of them obviously are fruiting already. We're eating the jackfruits and oranges and mandarin. White spotted. Lots of different fruit. We'll have to make a video sometime with a garden. We do intend to do that, but just prioritizing other videos. But yeah, we got a lot of fruit trees in the ground. And you like foraging too. Are there a lot of trees that are growing wild around the area that you live as well that you can go and forage from?
No, not too much. There's a lot around Ellis Beach and so Daintree, I think there's a lot.
Yeah.
I stayed in Woodhull for a month. I foraged a lot there. I love foraging and I've foraged a hell of a lot of fruit in Australia. It's been absolutely amazing. I think this part of the world is like one of the best places.
You reckon, yeah.
You know, if anyone knows a better place in the world for foraging, I'd love to hear about it.
Well, one of the great things about this area of the world is a lot of the people that came here, they were quite adventurous. And earlier in the day, going back a few decades, it was much easier for them to travel and come back and bring fruit with them. So we had a lot of people that were quite adventurous and they'd travel the world. They would find exotic fruit, bring the seeds back, plant them here. So we've got fruits that grow from all around the world growing in, well, I would say within 100-kilometre radius of here, we've probably got more variety of fruit trees than anywhere else in the world, as Gawain said that, and this is why it may be easy to forage because those fruit seeds have been dispersed everywhere. And so what kind of fruit have you foraged here?
I foraged a lot of mangoes, so a few jackfruits, one or two other few yellow sapote and stuff like that, but mainly mangoes.
I know you were living down on Ellis Beach for a while and practically living on the mangoes that were growing down there.
Yeah, I lived on Ellis Beach for about a month. Yeah. I was like virtually living entirely off mangoes, wild mangoes.
Then bathing in the sea afterwards. Yeah.
I foraged a bit of noni around my area.
You like noni?
It's not my favourite fruit, but what I tend to do is I'll often put it in a blender with a sweet fruit, mix it up, and it's a nice kind of sweet concoction.
Yeah, it's not everybody's cup of tea. Noni fruit, also called the cheese fruit. Some say it tastes a little bit like vomit with a slight hint of acid reflux, and it smells very, very strong.
Yeah, some people say it tastes like blue cheese.
I personally also can't eat much of noni. It's got very unique properties, noni. You can put it in a glass jar, and when it's ripe, it just starts sort of melting, and you get the juice out of it. and we put the juice in with other things, mix it in with other things. So that's what we do. We've got noni tree as well in the garden. It's actually nice when you mix it with a bit of avocado or something.
It's supposed to have a lot of health. Remember, I was in Brixton once, and someone had a stall, and they were selling some noni juice, and the size of the bottle was like that big, and you wanted like £10 for the bottle. Which is like really shocking.
Yeah, if you want to buy exotic fruit in England, it's not going to be cheap.
No.
None of it really. So yeah, when you came here, you would have tried heaps of different fruit.
Yeah, within a month of coming to Australia, I tried at least a dozen new fruits that I've never tried before.
And what about the climate? Was it a shock for you from leaving England to come over here and get hit with that wall of heat when you got off the plane in Cairns?
Well, I loved it. But first of all, I went to Borneo for 7 weeks.
So you'd already acclimatised.
And I went from London to Borneo.
Yeah.
I stayed there for 7 weeks. And then I came to Far North Queensland after that. I had a brilliant time in Borneo as well. But Far North Queensland, yeah, fantastic weather. I love it.
Were you eating the durians in Borneo?
And I didn't have any durian. I did see a little bit, but I didn't really have any. The main place that I stayed in, there wasn't really any durian in the market.
Had you tried it before?
Yeah, I tried it in London. Someone had some imported durian. You know, in Chinatown in London, they sell durian. It's very, very expensive in London. I bought a small durian. It was like £25 or something, but it's quite small.
They've probably gone up since then anyway, because the durian keeps rising the price of it. Even here, it's difficult to get hold of and expensive.
If you're not in the tropics, a good place to go is like a wholesale market. When I was in London, I used to go to a wholesale market once a week, and that's where the market sellers buy their fruit. The one I used to go to in London was called Spitalfield, the size of a football stadium, and it had a lot of unusual fruits in it as well.
But you don't have to be like a licensed seller to...
No, that was the good thing. They didn't really care whether you were a market seller or not. The only thing is you have to buy fruit on the box. So I used to go on the tube with a warehouse trolley. I'd put boxes of fruit on the warehouse trolley and take it back.
Good on you.
And nothing. If you don't live in the tropic, you want to get hold of
it's a good way to do it. Absolutely. Yeah. Did you ever dumpster dive?
I've dumpster dived, yeah.
You can get some really good stuff dumpster diving if you go to the right place.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you could even get fruit from the bins outside the warehouse.
That's true.
Wholesale warehouse.
Because I've heard from many people that say, oh, they can't do it because it's just too expensive. But I'm telling people that if you do things like what Gawain has been doing, go foraging, you can dumpster dive, you can buy in bulk from a warehouse or farmers at discount prices. You can go at the end of a market and get things super cheap when the sellers are just like offloading stuff that they know is only going to be thrown away anyway. So there's plenty of ways you can make it work if you're on a low budget. And if you can't, then you're living in the wrong place. You just got to move, relocate.
Yeah, that's it.
So you got any family over?
Yeah, I've got a sister in New South Wales, but I don't see her very often, no.
Have you seen her since you've been?
Yeah, I've seen her once.
Really? You went down to see her?
No, she came up here.
Oh, cool.
She came up here. Yeah, but she's not really interested in fruit.
No, she's not interested in your lifestyle.
No, not really. No, she's a very different person.
Yeah. How long has she been over here?
Well, she's been over here much longer than me. She's been over here over 10 years.
So that's not the reason you came here.
And now I just knew this was a good place for fruit, and it's not that far from Borneo.
So that's why you took the Borneo trip in the first place, get more experience with fruit. And
yeah, actually, it's a funny reason, really. But one of the reasons why I went to Borneo was I actually saw a YouTube video, and there was some foraging durian in Borneo.
Wow.
And they were making it look really easy. This is the place for me. I'm going to go to Borneo.
So when you first tried durian,
yeah,
did you kind of love it at first taste? Or was it?
Well, I kind of liked it. I wouldn't say I'm as crazy about it as other people.
No.
It is a tasting fruit. I saw these guys, as a man and a woman, and they were like foraging lots of durian in Borneo. One of the reasons why I went there, it was a very friendly place as well. And that was confirmed when I went over there.
Because Borneo is actually three different countries, isn't it? So you were in...
I was in the Malaysian, and I stayed in the Malaysian bit. I guess I could have crossed the border, but deciding maybe another time.
Did you travel anywhere else in Southeast Asia?
No, I think, to be honest with you, looking back on it, the people on the video I was watching, they were in the Indonesian farm, which might partly explain why they have more luck foraging than I did over there.
I'm sure there are places that you could forage. The Malaysian part
too. The thing is, the place where I was staying, the fruit was extremely cheap.
Yeah.
In the market.
Yeah.
Probably a quarter or a fifth of the price of fruit here.
Yeah. Indonesia, even cheaper from my experience. Yeah. Yeah. Do you still feel like you want to travel?
Yeah, I don't think Australia is my final destination. I think I'd love to go to India and the Philippines and other places as well.
So what percentage of your diet would you say was fruit?
Certainly at least 75, 80%, I'd say.
What are your feelings about eating only fruit?
It's okay. I think there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, when I was in Borneo for 7 weeks, that's exactly what I did. I was 100% fruit.
Do you have aspirations to do that?
Don't think I'd do that long term, to be honest.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with it, but
No.
I just don't think it's for me.
No.
But I admire people who do it.
Yeah.
I can understand why people would want to be fruitarian.
Yeah.
And that's so. I think if you're all fruit, you can still live very healthy. So I'm not questioning in the fruitarian diet in any way.
So is there anything you'd like to say at the end? Do you feel like you'd like to offer some kind of advice to our viewers, especially handling cravings, which you managed so well?
Well, I'd like to say if there's any meat eaters who are thinking of going raw vegan, because a lot of meat eaters, they say, we're not interested in fruit. And I think the reason is because they've got different taste buds. And if like a meat eater went off animal products for 3 weeks, their taste buds would change and then they would enjoy fruit a lot more because their taste buds have changed after 3 weeks.
And you think 3 weeks is enough?
Yeah, from what I've read, someone's taste buds take 3 weeks to change. Your taste senses improve, your smell senses improve and everything.
Yeah. It's true. And one thing I've said before is that if you take any kind of food and place it in front of somebody in its raw, natural state, the only food that really appeals, or maybe that has the most appeal to people, is fruit.
Yeah.
I think if you put a piece of flesh of some kind of animal in front of somebody, most people aren't going to find it attractive unless it's been cooked and spiced or seasoned.
Yeah, that's right.
Whereas feeling in its raw, natural state.
That's right. Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of people out there that say they don't eat any fruit. I even spoke with one guy the other day, and he was telling me he never eats any fruit at all.
Does he eat vegetables or?
He's a meat eater, that's what he told me.
But most meat eaters, they'll eat some fruit and vegetables. And I think the quantities matter because I remember I knew a girl and she ate hardly any fruit and veg. And she had serious health issues, but she couldn't understand, even when you tried to point out to her that maybe if she improved her diet, her health problems might lessen or disappear. She didn't seem to get it. And one of my ex-girlfriends, she was a meat eater and ate very little fruit and veg, but she lost all her teeth and she was only the same age as me, really.
Yeah, teeth is an issue which we're going to do a video about at some point in the future. Ken and I will do one individually. We'll talk about our own journey with teeth related to diet. So that's something that's coming in the future.
Yeah.
Well, we're very glad to have you here with us in Far North Queensland.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be
here. Yeah, it's been really great talking with you. Maybe we could have a chat another time.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I can't think of anything else, but if you want to have me back on the show in future, I'll be happy to oblige. And we can talk some more and maybe we'll have a few more subjects to talk about.
Sure.
Yeah.
If anybody has any questions they want to pose to Gawain that haven't been addressed today in the video, feel free to write them in the comments. And next time we catch up, I'll make sure to ask you those questions, whatever they may be.
Okay, no problem.
You have a beautiful day and we'll see you next week.